All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and finish up actionable step number 2 because I have a lot of exciting news to share with you as soon as we're done with this. I'm really excited for you guys to start the advanced video editing techniques course. Okay, so let's get straight into this. The first thing I'm going to do, just as usual, just go ahead and launch Premiere Pro. I don't know why this thing's always open. And this thing as well. Okay. And as soon as we're over here, we're going to do this a bit faster, right? So the first thing we got to do is create a new project, and let's go ahead and just call it Actionable Step number 2, basic edits. Right, there we go. And once we've done that, we're going to have an empty sequence, but the usual problem which we always are facing, which is, first of all, I can't get my overlays to move. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, there we go. Very nice. And the usual problem which we're always facing is moving the project file to the left side of here, and I'm not sure why, but that's okay. Right, we'll go ahead and place it here. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize myself. So first thing we gotta do is create a new sequence and make sure it is YouTube 1080. So we've got 1920 by 1080. We can use the preset which we've created. And next up, I'm gonna go ahead and drag in my footage, which is gonna be located over here, right over here. There we go. Now that my footage is dragged in, I'm gonna go ahead and put it right over here. Okay, and as we did in the first time, right click, unlink it. Where is the unlink? Where's the unlink? I can't even find it. There it is. Okay, and then delete that center one and then go ahead and link them without moving them a single bit. Let's go through these and actually remove the silences. So first off, we got the silence over here. We should be pretty good at this. Then we're going to select our razor tool one more time, create a cut right over here. Let's create a cut over here. We can also do this. Let's create a cut over here like that. Let's create a cut right over here, and that should be it. Let's go ahead and watch through it. Now when I'm speaking to the camera, I like to add a subtle zoom in. Now just zoom into my right hand over here, then zoom into my left hand all the way over here. Now make sure this, okay, I don't like these cuts are happening way too early. Okay, so once again, we can use our, sorry, I keep forgetting to explain these. We're going to use our track selection tool and move it forward. So we move everything that's after our cut forward a bit and just extend them by a tiny bit. All the way over here. Now make sure to subtitle these next words. There you go. Also, nice background music. You're killing it, man. Good job. There we go. That's it. Okay. Now the first problem I'm facing right off the bat, my audio is way too low, so I gotta increase that so I understand what's happening. Now, right? It's at minus 18. I want it to be at minus 6, so I gotta add around 8 decibels. Let's try and add 8 decibels and see what happens. I like to add a subtle zoom in. Now just zoom into my. Let's add maybe 2 more decibels. Right hand over here. Then zoom into my left hand all the way over here. There we go. Very nice. Okay. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and follow the instructions. First off, the first thing I say, now when I'm speaking to the camera, I like to add a subtle zoom in. So I'd like a subtle zoom in from here all the way to here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my effect controls. And as usual, as we learned in the keyframe section, we're going to create a keyframe for our scale at 100, place it at the beginning, and then change it to 120 and place that at the end. Speaking to the camera, I like to add a subtle zoom in. That's a subtle zoom in done for this one. Now just zoom into my right hand. Now I'm going to zoom into the right hand. Now I could simply just select this and then like place it right over here like this, but I'm going to try and animate it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keyframe my position and my scale at the beginning like so, and then we're going to put them at the beginning just like a regular zoom in. And this is just a fancy way of doing it. I'm going to change this over to 120 and then maybe move it to like somewhere over here. All right, let's take a look at how this looks. Now just zoom into my right hand over here. And now let's do the exact same thing to the left hand. Zoom into my left hand, exact same thing, right? Keyframe both position and scale and place them at the beginning. These are the original points. Then we're going to move up to the end, maybe change it to 130, even faster. And then just make sure it is centered like this without any black bars showing. Then zoom into my left hand all the way over here. Now make sure to subtitle these next words. Now once I say make sure to subtitle these next words, I'm going to have to subtitle these words right over here. There you go. There you go. If you're wondering how I'm zooming in and out of the timeline, I am holding Alt and using my scroll wheel to zoom in and out. And this is an extremely useful thing. And if I just scroll without using Alt, I can move across my timeline. You'll get to learn this a bit more in advanced editing. However, here's what I say at the end over here. There you go. There you go. We got to subtitle this part. So the first thing I got to do, go into my presets, which I have created in my favorites, and I'm probably just going to drag it in like so, right? and then we say we want to subtitle it. So the first word, all I'm going to do is just align my text beginning. So my text starts at this point. I'm going to align it with this point right over here. This is where my first word starts. This is my first word. There you. This is my second word over here. This is you. So from this point to this point is there. From this point to this point is you. And from this point to this point is go. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to go ahead and write out there. Right there. Then once we start saying you, which is right around this point, I'm going to cut my text and change my cut text to you. And I'm going to cut my text lastly before I change it to go and change this text to go. And here's what you end up with. There you go. Nice and basic, nice and simple. All right. This should just be really easy for you. Also, nice background music. And for this, I'm actually going to add a zoom out instead of a zoom in. So I'm going to keyframe a scale at 120 and go ahead and place that at the beginning and then just reset it to 100 all the way at the end. And this is what we end up with. Now, when I'm speaking to the camera, I like to add a subtle zoom in. Now, just zoom into my right hand over here. Then zoom into my left hand all the way over here. Now make sure to subtitle these next words. There you go. Also, nice background music. You're killing it, man. Good job. There we go. And now lastly, we would like to add some background music. So the music I'm going to use for this one is actually just going to be another random track. Let's go ahead and use this one right over here. As usual, guys, double click and it doesn't even want to load. So that's no problem. There we go. Go to the beginning. I'm going to click in and I'm just going to make an in and out point over here. And we can start it somewhere around here. This, and I'll drag it on and continue the editing in the timeline, and I'll just extend it from this point, place it over here, and then align it. And now that my top I'm just gonna mute this camera, I like to add a subtle
this
zoom
is
in. Actually
now
still a
just
bit
zoom
low.
in.
Maybe we could do
Into
like
my
this.
right hand over here.
Okay,
Then
now I can just mute it and drop this down to like -20. That works pretty good, and let's go ahead and listen to it all together.
Now, when I'm speaking to the camera, I like to add a subtle zoom in. Now, just zoom into my right hand over here.
Then zoom into my left hand all the way over here.
Now make sure to subtitle these next words. There you go.
Also, nice background music. You're killing it, man. Good job. There we go. That's the entire edit. In this, we actually cover everything we learned in our basic editing. And this might look very nice and simple, but this is actually very important because this means you're now eligible to become a master at video editing. Okay? So you mastered cutting, you've mastered effect controls, right? So moving certain clips, you've mastered animating with keyframes, creating sequences, background music, and even text. All right, so good job on this. I'll give you my final remarks in our outro video, which is coming right now. All right, thanks a lot for doing this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, go ahead and click on the next video real quick.